information transfer, it happens through the internet. So the use of this information technology by individual or group of individuals to harass another individual or group of individuals or organizations.
So what exactly it means, if we use a technology to harass the individuals, or individuals harass the individuals, or group as the group of individual or an organization, that is called in technical terms as a cyber stalking. So now, uh, how this cyber stalking behaviors is, okay, what it includes. So actually, broadly, this cyber stalking can be done by using uh, online, or we can do it by offline also. So the behavior of this cyber stalking includes both offline and online. Now we'll see later on what are the types of stalkers. Now we'll see this behavior in cyber stalking. First, behavior, it is called false accusations. Okay, you can put false accusations on individual or group of individual or on any organization. Second behavior is monitoring somebody. It may be monitoring an individual, or it may be monitoring an organization or group of individuals. Third behavior, that is transmission of threats to a company, or to an individual. Then ID theft, then damage to data or equipments of individual or an organization, gathering information regarding an individual or a group of individuals. So these all, gathering information, damage to data equipment, ID theft, transmission of threats, monitoring, false accusation, these can be done online. Okay, we can use the use of information technology tools to do that. Then there are some offline stalkings also. We can harass the people by following a person, or visiting a person's home, or at business place, making a phone calls, and leaving a written message, or vandalizing a person's property. Okay, these are the offline stalking activities or behaviors. So why we are doing this? Actually, the purpose behind is to harassment, or to a harassment, give a harassment to a individual or group of individual, or damage the reputation of an organization. So that comes under the cyber stalking. Now we'll see types of stalkers. Now there are primarily two types of stalkers, just as I explained now. One is called as a online stalkers. First one. So online stalkers, they start their interaction with the victim through internet. Okay, so internet here is the tool through which the online stalkers try to interact with the victim. So while interaction, what they do actually, they send emails, chats, they send messages on chats, whatever the communication media is there, maybe WhatsApp. Okay, then victim can easily recognize that he or she has getting attacked. Okay, an attack is attempted on him or her. So because directly the attacker is sending emails or chat messages, so then the victim automatically comes to know that he or she has been get attacked. So now sometime attackers or stalker, we can call it as a stalker to them, can make use of third party also. Just like uh, he or she can share the mobile number or email address of the so and so person, and tell them to send the emails, junk emails, or send the particular uh, uh, no, no, unaccepted messages to a person or a group of persons. Then second category of stalkers is offline stalkers. So online stalkers, what they do, they traditionally use our old methods, that following a victim, okay, watching the daily routines of the victim, that what is his movement from office when it comes, okay, when it enters the office, where it stay, where usually he used to go, or she used to go. So this is following a person in a offline stalkers does. And sometimes they search some messages from the news group, or if has his personal website, and from, suppose he has some profile on some other portals, so from that they try to extract some of the messages. So in this stalking, offline stalking, the victim is unaware of that he or she is being targeted. So that's why this reason victims are unaware that the internet has been used to perpetuate an attack against them. So they are unaware of that, that the something is happening, or somebody is looking my profile and stealing some of the information or gathering some of the information, and he's seeing my personal website, and from there he's or she is uh, stealing some information. So these are the types of stalkers. Now, what is the aim of this stalker? Okay, here in the PPT it is not mentioned. I will discuss it. That after gaining this information, how stacking works. So once the personal information is gathered, just like his name, his family background, contact details, cell phone number, email addresses, then the stalker try to contact by sending an email, or by trying to contact through phone, and he or she tried, or stalker tried to contact, try to establish a contact with the victim. Then once the contact is established, then victim gets these emails or some unexpected materials through some channels, some portals, and because of that, he feels that uneasiness, or he feel that attack has come to his computer, or his or somebody is attacking him or her. So these are the ways then the stacking is done. And sometimes it happens also, some of the mails, spam mails, we have seen that so and so, from so and so company, we are giving you job. You just fill your details, personal details on this job profile, and will send you. So job seekers, actually they exploit the need of the people. If if there are people who need a job, so they are searching, looking for a web job portals. So from there, the attackers or the stalkers see that he frequently visit these websites. Now he is a job seeker, and from that they give the uh, similar kind of emails to him or her, and get the information from him, and try to abuse him, try to attack him by sending some uh, material. Okay, so this is the way the how stacking is done. Then I want you people to do a case study based on such type of stalking. You go through web portals, search on a Google, or from some news websites. Individually, you people do one case study that is based on a real life incident which is happening anywhere in the world. So, and submit it on the our course subject course file. I have made Google Classroom with our subject. So you can submit on that small case study, just as a homework, so that you people can understand it more better. Now, next concept, we are talking about cyber cafe and cyber crimes. Now, we people already familiar with the cyber cave. There are thousands of maybe cyber cave in Mumbai. So a survey has been done in 8 cities on 3,500 cyber cave, and it is found that 90% of the audience who are visiting the cyber cave are within the age of 15 to 35 years, and 50% visitors are job seekers, which usually visit the cyber cave. Nowadays, we have a smartphone. Everybody having a internet connection. Now the visit has we are not frequently visit, but still, if you go to the remote area and there is no internet connection, so when we need a broadband connection, so we used to visit the cyber cave. If we need some printout or some document has to be scanned, at that time we visit the cyber cave. So what observation it is seen that cyber cave are having some vulnerability, uh, vulnerabilities. Now, what are those problems are there in the cyber cave? Cyber caves are used for either real or fake terrorist communication. It is found from the cyber cave, terrorist activities is being done in the past. Some real was there, and some fake terrorist organization have used this. Then crimes such as stealing of bank password and subsequent fraudulent withdrawal of money has also been observed from this cyber cave. Now, cyber caves are also used majorly for sending obscene mails to harass the people. Okay, just now I explained that cyber stalking we do. So cyber stalkers may use these cyber caves to harass the people. Now, cyber cave systems holds two types of risks. First one, if you visit any cyber cave, you don't know what programs or what softwares are being installed on the computers of the cyber cave, and they are installed and they are running on the background. So we are unaware of that. So what is the possibility if some spyware softwares are there, if some malicious programs are there? So whatever keystrokes or whatever websites you visit, they gets log of that. There are key loggers who keep the record of your search. Allowed, those are not blocked. So that is also leads to a attack, help the cyber criminals to exploit this opportunity. So these are the surveys which has been seen in the cyber case of the many metropolitan cities. Now, how we can avoid it actually? So this I led to you people. This is an assignment for that how we can give safety tips or security measures when we visit any cyber cave. So you students can maybe have idea that whenever you visit any cyber cave, you always log out from the emails, and you stick to your computer when you are doing that. You cannot leave the computer by leaving some opening some intermediate websites or your emails. Then you can do like that. You always, whenever you visit a cyber cave, you can delete the Google history where you have visited, and sometimes some people used to do that when they have urgency to get login for their bank from the cyber cave. They have to change their password after visiting the cyber cave, because may be possible that your bank software or email ID password maybe gets stored in the keylogger or spyware software of the cyber cave. Or sometimes you can use virtual keyboard also. Some of the banks provide you to enter your user ID or password through virtual keyboard. So that virtual keyboard will not get stored in the keylogger. That Actually, keylogger used to store the key hit information. Whatever we hit on the keyboard, that gets stored in the keylogger. So these are the some of the safety or security measures students has to do when they visit the cyber cave. Now, next topic we'll talk about the botnets. Okay. Now botnets, it is called as a fuel of the cyber crime. How it is called as a fuel of the cyber crime, now we'll see in detail. The dictionary meaning of bot is an automated program for doing some particular task, often over a network. If you design a program, automated program for a specific task, okay, on the internet, that is called as a bot. Okay, and there are n number of bots on the network. That's why the name is called botnets. So botnet is a term used for collection of software robots. Now why we call as a software robot? Because it is an automated program. It runs by its own. You do not need any instruction to give. It's a robot, software robot. We have electronic robot. So that runs autonomously and automatically. Now bots, what bots? These bots can gain access of your computer by infecting with a virus. So what is this bots does? They infect a virus into your computer or other malicious code, and they get the access of your computer. And your computer is running normally. You are unaware of that your computer is being hacked or somebody has an access of your computers, because it doesn't give you any understanding of this because of these bots. Now, why this happen? Because of the some operating system, you do not put your password on those computers. So then bot codes maybe come through some emails and they get stored. Now, often use of this distributing spam. Actually, these bots are scattered on the network everywhere. So they are called as a distributing spam. So what happened? Because of these distributed bots and viruses, you can have a denial of the service attack, that is called as a DOS attacks. Earlier, I observed in IRCTC website. So when we try to get into do the Tatkal booking, so that time, as it opens at 11 a.m. for do the Tatkal reservation, so it giving us the denial of service attack, and attack was happened maybe 2 years back on this IRCTC website. So these bots are also called as botnets are also called as a zombie network. As why it is called a zombie network? Because this network of computers with the infected, there are computers with the infected malicious programs. So that's why these are called as a zombie network. And these zombie networks allows the cyber criminals to control the infected machines without the user's knowledge. So these zombie networks are the source of the income for the cyber criminals, because they are available, they are autonomous, they are automatically running on the system, and with the help of these botnets, the criminals earn the money. Actually, what they do, okay, how they earn this? So here is the picture diagram how botnets created a business. So is it visible, Rizwan? Rizwan? Hello?
So visible.
Okay. Now you can see in this diagram, so botnet is created on the internet. So from that, you have two types of business. One, you can sell the botnets, a particular computers you can sell to the people, and what they do, the people who want to purchase those botnets, they used to monitor those computers and extract some of the information. So you have botnet selling as well as botnet renting. On rent also, for $12 per month, $5 per month, this botnet being rented. So by botnet selling, what things we can do, you can steal confidential information of the people. In that, you can sell the credit card details, bank account details of the persons, personal identity information just like email ID. Okay, what is his job profile information is there, his family information, personal information is there. Those informations you can sell it, and you can sell some internet services just like some advertisements are there. It happens sometime with me also that I talked with my friend about purchasing a shoes. Immediately after few minutes, I got a message from some of the company that there is a sale for so and so shoes in that. Means your call records or your communication also being get uh, uh, sell. So this is the personal information what we communicate. So nowadays your communications are not safe because the companies are also involved in that. Second botnet selling is called as the phishing attack. By using a botnet, you can do the attacks by sending some emails. So yesterday we talked about this phishing. And then spam dexing. What is called this spam dexing is about the fake advertisement indexing. Okay, you can use for this marketing purpose for giving or increasing the rating of any advertisement. Then what is next about the botnet renting? Through botnet renting, you can have a DOS attack, denial of service attack. Then you can have a spam attacks and some malware or adware. You can do installation also can be you can do. Now what is called as a malware? Now these terminologies are there, so I want to put a brief on this. That is what is malware. Malware is a malicious software and it is designed to damage the computer without the owner's information. That owner is unaware of that his or her computer is getting damaged because of this malicious software. Then what is called as adware? It is a advertise supporting software is there, adware, and it runs automatically and download some advertisement from to your computer without your permissions, and some add-ons are also get added without your permissions. So this is called as an adware. And what is called as a spam? It is a unsolicited or undesired emails messages are there, spam messages which comes to your inbox. And as I told, spam dexing is also similar to that. It's a search engine tool which is used for increasing the indexing of the advertisement, your marketing strategy. Fake indexing is done in this through search engine, your Google search engine or Yahoo search engine. You do the manipulation of these search engines with the spam dexing. Then DOS, that is the distributed denial of service attack, which is used for flooding the server with n number of requests, fake requests, and because of that what happens, the genuine request doesn't reach to the server and you will not getting served. Just like for IRCTC, if I flood the IRCTC website with the fake logins and fake requests, the genuine people who want to try to get reservation, they get denied. So these are the different types of botnets, and because of the botnets you can create a business. Now how we can reduce these botnet attacks? So you can also reduce the chances of becoming a part of bot. How you can do? First, you have to use the antivirus or anti-spyware softwares, and after installing you to keep updated. So there is a chance that you cannot become a part of the botnet. Second, you set the OS download and install the security patches or that OS for that OS, so that your OS operating system is also updated. Third, you can use a firewall on your network or in your organization so that it avoids from hacking, from external attacks or external hacking. Then fourth, you can disconnect from the internet when we are away from your computer. When you are not using the internet, so you can disconnect your internet from your computer or laptop or your mobile phone, so that it should not become a part of bot. Fifth, you can download freeware softwares or some add-on applications from the genuine websites, trustworthy websites. You should not download it from untrusted websites to should not become a part of botnet. And you go on regularly checking your mailbox, sent mailbox usually, so that from your mailbox there should not be sent emails those who from not to your wish. Okay, somebody else has logged into your email box and they have sent some emails, but you are not sent, so you have to check it. Then take immediate action. If suppose your computer is getting some virus or it gets some malicious code, now you come to know it is getting some hang or several time it is giving some problems. Some messages also come to your computer that a malware attack is there or Trojan or some suspicious code is running on computer. Nowadays operating systems are much intellectual. They give some alert, the message alert to you people. Okay. Now last topic is about the attack vector. Now what is an attack vector? Attack vector is a vector or a collection of n number of attacks. Actually we call attack vector as a path by which an attacker can gain access to a computer or to a network server by delivering some payloads or malicious outcomes. Now payload is information packet or some information messages are involved in that payload. Or if you are aware of this IP packets in the internet, so these your IP packets carry some payload. Payload is actually a message information which is stored in the packet. Now these packets are loaded into the attack vector, and because of that attack vector, your computer attacker can get the access of that computer. So what attack vector enables the attacker to exploit your system vulnerabilities. It will exploit whatever vulnerabilities are there in your computer. So attack from the attack vector, because it has so many tools in that, you can understand attack vector like a missile, and the viruses, email attachments, web pages, pop-up windows, instant messages, chat rooms, and deceptions are some of the warheads of that missiles. So attack vector is having these many payloads. It uses these payloads to attack a computer or a network. Now by intelligently programming, what attacker does, they intelligently program this, and because of that what happen, operator of the computer is being fooled, that is he unaware of that there's attack vector is there, and because of that what happen, if suppose he try to install some freeware software, so at that time this freeware software asks the user to remove the restrictions of firewall, to unlock or switch off the firewall, and because of that what happened, the operator is remove the system defenses. Okay, so these defenses has been removed by the operator itself because of this intelligent programming, and because of that what happened, these vulnerabilities is being exploited by this attacker. Now to some extent your organization firewalls or antivirus software can block to some extent, but mostly there are chances that your organization or your computer may get attacked, because these attackers, day by day they are going to update their programs, and they know that what is antivirus, which antivirus, what tools this antivirus is using, and what are the updates of the firewalls. And beyond that, they used to do some programs, write some programs, so that it overcomes your firewall or antivirus software, pass those firewall and antivirus software, and can attack your computer. So now, what are these payloads which are involved in this attack vectors? Are the viruses, trojans, horses, worms, and spyware. Now, this is about the attack vector. Okay. So now we'll details of this, how the attack vector is launched. We'll see in the next lecture of our cyber security and law lecture, and in that I will explain you about these trojan, horses, and I will give the definitions of these also in detail, and we'll try to understand it. Spywares, worms, what are those softwares are there. Okay. So now you can put your attendance on the chat. I will take it, I will note down from the chat. Please, all of you put your attendance on the chats. Any questions?